Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Observable Flutter. My name is Craig Labenz. I'm your host, and today we're going to be talking about some pretty advanced ticks. That's not what they are. Tips and tricks in accessibility in Flutter. And I'm very excited to get into it, so I'll try to waste as little time as possible. First of all, folks, this is the Flutter community. As you know, we have a sterling reputation. Let's be kind and wonderful to each other. Okay, without any further ado, today's guest gave just a wonderful talk at FlutterCon Berlin this past summer on accessibility and is a Flutter Berlin organizer, but I'll let her introduce everything else that's cool and interesting about herself. Manuela, let's see here. Welcome to Observable Flutter.
Hello, everyone. So I just wanted to say, so nice to see you, but I cannot see anyone, only Craig. But yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, my name is Manuela. I'm from Berlin, and I am a Flutter Berlin meetup organizer and a Women Tech Makers ambassador. So yeah, super happy to talk about accessibility today.
Yeah, so am I, and so is so are the viewers. We've got a lot of familiar faces and names here. Nilai, Elaine, Roa, more Roa. So there's a lot of other names as well who you probably know, but I haven't had the pleasure of meeting yet. But everyone, very excited to have you and very excited to talk about accessibility today. So, Manuela, you have cooked up a Esra. Hello, Esra. I saw on Twitter that you were excited to tune in. So you have cooked up today an app demonstrating some accessibility misses that I think probably all of us are guilty of because they're very easy to overlook. And then also you're prepared to kind of show us how to identify them, what to look for, where in the Flutter dev tools you can really visualize what's going on. A couple neat, there's a neat package you've got, and then some code fixes, right?
Exactly. Yes.
All right. Well, let's dive into it. So this is your screen here. Now, chat, we've got one opening question. I am not an Android or an IntelliJ person myself, so I don't know how to do this. And Manuela, I guess, hasn't tried to do it before. How do we increase the font size? We assumed it would be in the editor font section here, but that appears to only do the terminal. Does anyone know how we can make this stream accessible so you can all read the code? This currently is eluding us. I'm going to also actually just, yeah, font size always important while live streaming. So this is going to be our first accessibility thing to tackle. Oh yeah, ask Bard. Okay, let's see here. I am going to do that. Off screen, I'm asking Bard how in the IntelliJ IDE, how do I increase the font size of my code? Okay, so here we've got an answer. Go to setting appearance and increase. So wait, where is that?
Appearance, yeah. Okay, appearance.
Oh.
And increase. Can I increase?
Oh, there it is. At the bottom. Down. I think it was all the way down.
Ah, amazing.
Presentation mode.
Okay, let's try 28.
No, I think we're going to need way bigger.
Okay, then let's try 48.
But it's not doing anything. That seemed like it was going to be it. Presentation mode may be like a different mode. I'm wondering that. Okay, so Barnes says file settings, editor font. That is what you were doing before. Apparently, you can also press Command Shift plus. So when you're on, try Command Shift plus here. Wow, it's just so stubborn.
I mean, I can maybe do this. So is it?
Yeah, that isn't.
Yeah.
That sounds like a pain for you, but it would make things legible. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's. Can everyone see the font?
Yeah, how I'm gonna make sure we don't have any other ideas in the chat. So folks have been saying some things that are the same. Oh, here we go. Parker says editor font size should work, or you can zoom in, which I think is what you were just doing.
Yeah.
You can also go view presentation mode to focus on code. Oh, then I bet it would use the
Mhm.
value that we set for presentation mode. So how do we do that?
Mhm.
Is it under appearance maybe? Oh, sorry, in view. I was wondering. Yeah, so view, and then there's appearance. Yeah. Oh, so enter presentation mode, first one. Okay.
I mean,
Is this better?
well, we don't see the app anymore, which.
Oh, that's a problem. Yep. All right, let's try to do the zoom that you were doing with the trackpad. I think that will
Yes.
I think that's our best bet here. Also, I'm continuing to scan the chat. Can you see the chat, by the way, Manuela, in the comments tab on the right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Editor font size. You may need to apply the changes, someone says, but I think you did that.
Yes.
Yeah, as opposed to just hitting OK. All right. But most people are saying that this is good, that they're happy with font size. So let's do it. I'm currently being joined by my dog who's trying to sneak behind my green screen, even though there's no space. So I'm scratching him to calm him down. All right, buddy. All right, Manuela, the stage is yours.
All right. So I have built this appointment scheduler app, which has some kind of accessibility issues, I would say, and we are going to check it using the phone accessibility settings and a nice package called Accessibility Tools that was made by Rebel App Studios. And first of all, I want to introduce you to accessibility itself. So why is accessibility important? So as developers, we want our apps to be used, right? And there's quite a big portion of people who are in need for accessible apps. And that's actually everyone, because accessibility concerns us everyone, because it makes the app really better. So for instance, if you are holding your child in one arm and in the other arm you have your phone and you want to navigate your app, and you cannot, then that's a little bit, bad. So it's basically a rethinking of usability. One thing, if you work on accessibility, it's always important to work on a real device. That's why you can see today next to my IDE a screen mirroring of my Android phone, because we have to use some accessibility settings there. So first of all, let's check the app with the accessibility settings that are built in the phone. So we're gonna go to settings, and you have to tell me if the screen freezes, because sometimes it does that. So
A lot of technical difficulties before the stream this morning. Operating system updates are the worst for this. Yeah, while you're looking for this, I love the comment also about accessibility being a thing that matters to all users at one point or another, right? Just this very simple idea of having one hand busy, or being in a really bright space where you can't see your screen that well, or being in a loud space where you can't hear. And accessibility improvements help all users eventually, for sure.
So funny, looks like I was already on large font actually. So let's go back to our app. Observable. Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, this I accept the terms and conditions is smaller than the other ones. So we are already on the largest font settings. I had it because I was improving the app for accessibility actually. So now I actually have to see my sidebar again. I think I have to turn off.
Oh yeah, let's exit presentation mode. I think that's what you'll need.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
So
we have to use the trackpad zoom again.
exactly.
Yeah,
So so we see here that I accept the terms and conditions is a little bit smaller than the other ones. So this can be an issue. So there's some kind of problem there that the font is not scaling. Then we can check the other screens. We see everything looks okay on the first look. The appointment list looks also okay. So now there's this package that I was talking about, the accessibility tools package. And I have already added it into my PubSpec YAML and have already added it to my material app. So I just have to turn it on. So I basically just say enable accessibility tools on true. Oh, God. True. All right, and we're reloading. Yes, reloading again because we changed something from the material app. Okay, exactly. So now we can see that there is this red button and we have to press it, and then we can see this yellow and red border around the I accept the terms and conditions, which will tell us something in our terminal. So basically, no.
And so that button is coming from the accessibility tools package, right?
Exactly. I just have to check where I get my errors. So let me run the app again. It should actually show me.
I wish I had debug. Analysis.
Yeah, debug, exactly, debug.
Oh, great. Okay.
All right. It's actually quite hard to do that on a live stream, you folks. Like really, like so the small things are super hard. So basically, we see here that some accessibility issues were found. So, and we can see that the checkbox has an issue. And basically it tells us that we should get a semantics label to give more context, or that we have to use checkbox list tile. So first of all, maybe what is a semantics? Semantics are the informations that the screen reader will pick up to read. So if somebody has some visual impairments, they will use a screen reader to navigate your app. And each semantic that you give will be read out. And when you don't give semantics, basically this thing is not visible to the screen reader. So nobody can really access it if they use screen reader because they don't know what it is.
Yeah, one a bit of little background. I think folks know that there's all these different trees in Flutter, right? But another one that exists and that isn't talked about as much is what's called the semantics tree. And that is exactly what Manuela is talking about. That's how, that is what the operating system or the browser, if you're in a Flutter web environment, consumes to power any accessibility tools like a screen reader or whatnot. And back in old HTML days, if anyone is a web developer, I remember there was a phase where people started to figure out, oh, you can actually just apply button-ish CSS to like anything and attach an on-click handler, and you don't have to use a button HTML element. You can use a div and give it a background color and rounded borders, and it's a button. And then that just created an accessibility nightmare because, sure, if you're using the app in the way that the developer imagined, you can just see the button. But if not, the screen reader has no idea what that thing is. Now in Flutter, material widgets often add a good amount of semantic information. If you click into them and you look in their build method, you'll see they add semantic information. But the more that we write our own controls from scratch, the more you kind of really get into this space where maybe that automatically added semantics information from the material control isn't there anymore because you're not using it. Any thoughts on that? Anything you would add to that, Manuela?
No, like you basically said everything.
All right, continue.
So I would say let's try to fix the rich text issue. And we basically have here the appointment terms. So they are not accessible. Let me just scroll in a little bit. So we see the text does not scale, and we want it to scale. So instead of rich text, we can use text.rich because that one has accessibility features. So let's do that. And then we cannot use this. And what does, okay. All right. And if we reload, we see it is scaling up. But then we have the issue that it is cutting off because we have used a row without any other widget that will give us space to increase the font. So what we can do.
This is a super interesting point as you're typing this out. And if I'm just going to air every time you say something, I'm like, oh, I've never thought of that. I'm just going to talk about it. Once you increase the default font size, things that fit before may not anymore. And yeah, your overflow might be totally incorrect because it wasn't overflowing before. And so, yeah, now we're getting into this space.
Well, flexible doesn't fix it.
Is it overflowing or is it like to the very last pixel? Was there something
it's to the very last pixel, I think. It is to the very last pixel. So you could use a flexible if you would want it to like take the space, right? But you could also use a wrap instead of a row, so that it would get on the next line.
Yeah, if you add, you can just add another word to it as well, and then we'll definitely force the wrap, right?
Yes, exactly.
Like I super accept.
Then I add the flexible back. So that's actually also the interesting thing. You can scale the font much higher with iOS. So yeah, exactly. Perfect. So you see here it is basically going on the next line. You can use flexible. You can also use expanded, as Ahmad said. You can use wrap. And on iOS, as I said, you can make the font much, much bigger. So one thing that I did is I also ran this on an iOS simulator where I could much more increase the font. So this was already enough to make the UI break. So anyways, gotcha, yeah. Since we have here a row, if we go now with a screen reader to this app, so on Android, you can push the increase sound and decrease sound at the same time for a few seconds, and then
talkback on. Observable _ accessibility.
Yes, talkback turns on.
Speech rate. Swipe up or swipe down to adjust the setting.
So I rerun it again because sometimes the screen reader has some issues to pick up on the app.
Heading. Choose your slot. Edit box. Date. Time. Edit box. Not ticked. Tick box. Double tap to toggle. I accept the terms and conditions.
So as you can see, right now we have two semantic informations in this terms and conditions. And it's a little bit difficult for someone who might not be able to see if those things are belonging together, especially if you have a lot of checkboxes, for instance, or a lot of switches, or something that should belong together with another thing. And if you have such a problem, you could use merge semantics. So basically, that's a widget that will give your app semantic information and will merge those semantic information together.
When you said you had two pieces of semantic information, I think what you're saying is that when you went down for name and phone number, it said editable box or something, and then date and time did actually say date and time. Was that is that what you were talking about?
Oh no, I'm actually talking about the checkbox and the text next to it, because if you swipe up now,
book slot, I accept the terms and conditions. Not ticked, tick box.
So basically, you have two different semantic information. So first of all, the checkbox says, "Hey, I'm not ticked," and the text that we want to accept is "accept the terms and conditions." So basically, when we use merge semantics, we can make those two merge. And if we rerun that again,
I see. So the issue here is that it's not super obvious that I accept the terms and conditions goes with the checkbox.
Exactly. Yes. And that can be very hard, because if everyone closes their eyes right now and tries to navigate their apps, we will have some people that do not know if we should, like, if the box belongs to this "I accept the terms and conditions." So if we swipe now on that semantic information.
Not ticked. I accept the terms and conditions. Tick box.
We have it merged, which is great.
Interesting. I'm not going to lie. I have never used a merge semantics widget, and I'm now realizing there's probably been a lot of times when I should have. Okay.
So yes, and it's actually quite an easy fix. So first of all, if anyone has still rich text in their app and can replace it with text.rich, definitely do that, because that's an easy fix and it will already increase the usability of your app. Especially, like, this is really a feature for everyone. Like, scaling the font is something that, like, you just have to turn like old, or just have to have bad eyes like me, because I don't use the default font size either. So it's really something that everyone can benefit from.
Yeah. So when you are, so if you have font scaling turned up on your device, roughly, like, what percentage of apps do you think have their UI just kind of fall apart because of font scaling?
Honestly, I have no numbers, but I think nearly every app has some kind of issues with text overflowing if you increase it like large enough. And with iOS, you can really, really increase the font extremely high, and there really, like, a lot of things break. Also, what's really interesting is, and you can implement that for your app if you're working in a new project, that you could have an analytics event that will send an analytics when you see that the user has an increased font size. Because with the media query, you can find that out. You can find out the text scale factor, and then you can send an event to your analytics, especially if you want your stakeholders to work more on accessibility, because in a business there's a lot of priorities, and usually people want to see numbers to do decisions, and this is a big number that you can send. And when we talk about analytics, we can also talk about accessible navigation, which you can also get from the media query, and basically send an event when you see that somebody has turned on the accessible navigation. So accessible navigation is basically a screen reader, and if the screen reader is turned on, you get this event and can check how many people of your user base are using accessibility features. And I think that's a great number. We still have to work on accessibility regardless of the number, especially because of laws. I think in the US, we have the ADA law. In the EU, something is coming up. So by 2025, newly created apps should be all accessible, or actually all digital products. And all digital products that were released before that date have time until 2030. So yeah.
Nice. I've never thought about measuring the percentage of users who have that signal. Or have accessibility tools turned on to get that signal. It's a mobile only thing for sure. In the browser, you don't. The browser does not share that information, and Flutter can't receive it, which is just for the privacy of users, because the web is way more open, and generally you only have apps on your phone that you downloaded and they've been vetted by the App Store or the Play Store. But the web is just crazy town, so you can only do this on mobile. But even still, I hadn't thought of it. That's a great tip.
Yeah, and actually, that's also something that can move the stakeholders to have it in their roadmap and prioritize accessibility, which is a great thing.
All right. So I've got questions about this UI, but I presume. Oh, also, wait a minute. There was a black and yellow little warning border drawn around the checkbox, which I was guessing was going to be for not a large enough tap target area, but now it's gone away.
Yes, it was actually for the semantics information. So basically, we didn't have semantics information for the checkbox, and it got fixed now. So yeah.
Got it. Okay, so merge semantics fixed that. Great. Okay.
When I remember
all right.
correctly.
Yeah. Oh, there's we got some love for merge semantics. Let's see. This is an interesting one. Tracking this is so important. I was surprised the first time I saw how many people were using larger fonts we didn't optimize for. Yeah, that's another good point. The number might be surprising.
Yes, because it's around 25%. Like if you implement this analytics event, you usually see something around that, because my parents are using larger font. I use sometimes larger font. So it's really a very well used feature.
All right, we've got a request from the chat, which is going to be the same one that I had. I don't know if it's on your roadmap, so I potentially apologize for the monkey wrench here. Can we also fix the semantics for the name and phone number text boxes, which I don't think had them?
Okay, let's check it.
Book tutorial. Select appointment scheduler heading. Choose your slot. Edit box. Name detected. Text name. Double tap to edit text.
Okay, so I think what actually happened was you just scrolled down to date before it said name. So all we heard was edit box.
Date.
All right, great. That was a quick fix.
Text, date. Yeah, so actually Flutter gives us a lot of help already. So the text form fields are actually already quite good. You have the label text and the hint text, and they are red, which is wonderful. So if you use Flutter widgets out of the box, a lot of them already have some kind of accessibility information, or a label or tooltip where you can add the information. So you just have to remember adding them. So for instance, when you have a widget that has a space for a label and you use it in a lot of different places in your app, maybe it makes sense to make wrapper widgets for it. So basically you have, I don't know if it's a button or something, and you have it as a primary button and you have the label as something required. So you always add the semantics label, and you can't forget about it, which is great. So
yeah, that's a super good tip for just not allowing yourself to forget. Yeah, make a wrapper widget or add another I wouldn't bother adding another constructor via an extension method. I don't know. Maybe you could. That's a great tip, though. A lot of folks in the chat who have, like personal experience realizing that the users for their apps were really using high amounts of, high amounts of their users were turning on accessibility tools and realizing that they needed to do that. So that's great.
Nice. But I have one thing added here, which is an issue. So first of all, let's try to book an appointment.
N. Manuela. Weiter.
Wow, it
Date.
really
Select
pronounces
date.
your name very
Detected.
nicely.
Text. Date. Select date.
Yeah, because
Keyboard
I
hidden.
think for some reason it reads out my name in German, actually, even though I set the voiceover or talkback language into German, US, I mean, English. So for some reason, I don't know why.
Date.
So,
Thursday,
but now
December
we
14th,
want
2023.
to
Today.
book a date.
Select date. Thursday,
And
December 14th.
this is a little bit difficult if you navigate this with a
Button. Select
screen reader.
button.
Like
Switch
it's
to
it's
input.
not really
Double tap to
possible.
activate.
So what can we do here? So
So real quick here, what makes it impossible? Can we try to do it and
Select
just
music
see the
button.
misery?
Switch to input.
I mean, it's not
Select button.
impossible. You
This
can do it,
button.
but it
Select
takes a
50.
lot of time.
Step 8.
And
Step
what one could
select
do,
button. Button. Select button.
we have
Switch
here
to input.
this
Double
pencil.
tap. December
And
14th,
we can
2023.
jump to this,
Edit box.
which
Enter date.
is
Showing
a
task
way
after
how we
word
can
Adam
just
Work site.
type
Observable
in
_
our
accessibility.
date. And we can actually make Flutter use this first instead of the calendar. But the calendar is also totally usable. But we have another thing
Time.
here at the
Select
time.
1822.
This.
Select hours. Select time.
So as you can see, this is like a time, like a clock, and you have a really hard time doing this with with your accessibility settings on, with accessible navigation, because you can't really maybe see the time and then do the gesture for it. And we have below here again this text button, which we could activate. But how would it be if we would have this as the default for someone who is using screen reader? So what we can do, exactly. So what we can do is we could have here initial entry mode, and then we can basically use this media query. Oh no, this is not the one I wanted. Of context. And if it's turned on, we want the input only.
Oh. So yeah, you mentioned the accessible navigation was a screen reader, and I was kind of mentally queuing up asking a question of, where that is and how to poke at it. This is another thing that I've not seen before. So it's just right on the media query, and that's just a Boolean, obviously.
Yes, exactly. So
okay. Appointment
let's
scheduler.
check.
1822. 1822.
Yeah,
Select
perfect.
Okay.
It's working.
Editing.
And we could do that same
box.
thing for the
Phone
calendar
number.
and just
Detected.
change
Text.
the
Phone number.
entry mode.
Enter phone number. Showing wall to stature.
Sorry. I don't want to be disrespectful and talk over the talkback. But this is a way to make it a little bit more accessible for some people. So
I'm still here. My camera froze.
Technical
difficulties today. Okay, yeah, that's a super clever thing. And yeah, like you mentioned, you could do that. I mean, anywhere. A new kind of adaptive UI, a way to think about it.
Yeah, so it's really just a way of rethinking usability, and Flutter gives you the tooling. So, and I really like this Boolean because it can customize the experience for the users. Because sometimes I talk to designers and they might say, hey, I don't want this button to be visible because it might be not so nice to see that, because it's unnecessary for the user that might not have a visual impairment. But if you have this Boolean, you can customize and build your UI according to the user that is using your app. And that's great.
Yeah. And then with the one caveat that for web, you'll probably need to still show the button.
Yep.
Because on web, you're not going to get the information of
Yep.
the screen reader.
Yep. Yes, so great. So let's try to book an appointment.
Book slot. Alert. Success. Appointment was booked. Dismiss.
Brilliant.
Show accessibility. Dismiss. Show success. Appointment was booked. Okay. Button. Double tap to activate.
Does dismiss?
Time. Detected. Text. Time.
So I'm not a pro in using screen reader too. So because probably my issue is that I can see. And if I swipe, then sometimes I tap on things that I don't want to tap on. So I'm very sorry if some things is repeated, or some things are repeated. Yeah. All right.
Cool. That's another super good tip, and folks in the chat are confirming that it was new to them, just like it was new to me. Cool. All right. I'm guessing we're gonna. Well, actually, I don't know. I have guesses, but they're just random. So, what other tips and tricks do you have for us?
Yeah. So let's actually make it fail. I want our appointment booking to fail. And for that,
showing N date.
Little solidarity out there for
Thursday,
driving
December
accessibility
14th,
tools.
Okay, button.
If you're not familiar with them.
Appointment scheduler. Time 1822. Okay. Appointment scheduler 1822. Editing.
I mean, one thing I'm taking away from this is that even in the best case, this is a slow and probably frustrating experience. So like, gosh, removing any frustration possible.
Ticked.
So the thing with accessibility is that it's pretty time consuming if you have to do it afterwards. I mean, testing in itself is sometimes difficult because you need to test on iOS and Android. So while I was working on the app where I'm currently working at in the company, it's an e-commerce app, and we had a problem in the checkout with accessibility, and I was tasked to basically fix it. And I had this one issue that on Android, everything was fine. Everything worked fine, and I was like, great, perfect. And then the QA was like, hello. And I knew, oh no. And I checked iOS, and actually there I had an issue. And it was not the same experience. So you basically have to check both of them. So it's very...
There's an interesting question in the chat as well. What's the state of driving this with your voice instead of typing?
So voice command is, I'm not really familiar with it, is probably also a way to do it. But we had a great talk by Maureen a few weeks ago at Flutter Berlin, where she was talking about that, and that was very, very great. So yeah, maybe we can have Maureen at some point on Observable as well, and she could talk about voice command instead of typing, because I personally haven't worked with that before.
Book
So,
slot.
All right, well, great.
Please
You've just
enter a
queued up
valid
a
phone
guest.
number.
so as we can see, we just got the message, please enter a valid phone number, because my phone number is wrong. I made it fail. So basically I said if it has 7 numbers, then make it fail. And you can see that there is this error message under the phone number. And it's basically read out right after it failed, which is a way what we can also implement from scratch. So when we look at the semantics widget, basically there is something called live region. And if we set that on true, it will read out the widget as soon as it is appearing. So as soon as it is on the screen, it will read it. And that's quite nice if we have something like a animation that we want to basically show. So we have an animation, the user cannot see it. We show a snack bar or a some kind of text as well. There we can also use the media query with the accessible navigation and show it only to people that need the screen reader, and set the live region on true, and it will read it out, which is a great thing. So Flutter does that out of the box for text fields, which is great.
Oh, interesting. Can we see this in action? I'm not actually familiar. It'd be fun to see that. Please enter a valid phone number be auto read by the screen reader, like you're talking about. I've never heard of this before.
So right now it is reading it out by default because we're using the Flutter text field, but we can. I have to just check where I could show it.
So let me repeat back to you what I think I'm understanding.
Mhm.
Would it be true then, if you're just using random, if you're using typical text widgets and you're on any given screen and the user has their screen reader active and your UI changes in any way for any reason, not just an error message, the screen reader will read the new text? Is that right?
So yeah, as soon as the text widget is appearing, the screen reader will read that text. So it's great when you have an error message or something custom that you want to be read right away when it's coming to the screen, because the user might not be able to see that something appeared. So that's the whole thing. If something is appearing because of maybe a state changed or something, then you can use that Boolean, set it to true, and it will be read out right away.
Folks, yeah, zoom in the text. Yeah, perfect.
Sorry. Yeah. What?
By the way, folks are asking pretty good questions, and I'm queuing up a bunch for the end, so I'm not ignoring you. Okay. Oh yeah, man, there's so many good questions waiting for us at the end here. Okay, so text by default auto reads.
Tab 1 of 3. Double tap to activate.
No, text, not text by default. It's the text field, the form text field that reads it out when the validation fails. So it's not by default. Yeah, exactly. So if you want the text to be read out by default, you wrap the text in a semantics. So basically, let me show you something. So where can I?
And then yeah, zoom in again as well.
Oh yeah.
When
I'm
you are
so
ready.
sorry.
I'll try to help remember, but it is a challenge.
Let me just add something here. I could just
choose your slot.
Have you heard that? Choose your slot?
Yeah.
So basically, if you would go right to that screen, it would read choose your slot right away, because live region is set on true. As soon as it appears on the screen, it will be read out. So great for errors, for anything that needs to be, like any information that you want to give the user, that the user really needs, you can use live region. For instance, with error messages, you want the user to know why something did not work out.
Right. Wonderful. Okay. Gosh. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, and
I
it's
think we're up to
actually
either
really
3 or
great.
4. Yeah. 3 or 4 things you've already showed that I had no idea about. So cool.
Thank you so much. So what can I show else?
You mentioned some stuff about the semantics tree and navigating through a page view.
Exactly.
That sounded interesting.
Yes. So
Tutorial, tab 1 of 3, selected.
as you can see here, we have here a tutorial for the scheduling app.
Schedule an appointment. It is very easy to schedule an appointment.
So basically, to swipe the page view, it is the same way that the user is navigating through the app with accessible navigation. And for talkback, it might work with 3 fingers, but it's not working on all screen readers. So when I use 2 fingers, no, it's 2 fingers, then I can swipe, but it's not really easy. And there's a way to make it easier. We can implement a swipe counter. So let's go to the page. So, so basically we have a stack with a page view builder, and we basically want to make it, swipe. What we can do first is we can use a semantics information around the. I have to check my little cheat sheet.
Yeah, can you zoom in as well?
Yes, of course. So I just added the semantics around the page view builder, and we basically want to set the page view index with the semantics widget. Is it enough? I think I heard someone also, please zoom. Is it?
Yeah, I guess maybe we can zoom a little more.
Zoom a little more, okay.
Yeah, in general, I do feel when I stream, I try to have just the most garishly oversized text possible. But unfortunately, yeah, IntelliJ is making that tricky on you.
Yeah, I don't know why. So,
I don't know either.
I have prepared here a little code snippet with which we can set the page index because we will need it. So the semantics widget, let's go into that. No, every time I click, we see that it has quite a lot of properties. And what we will need and use now is the on swipe up and on swipe down. So let me check.
Oh, and that's on the semantics widget.
Exactly.
Wow.
And let me just add the code in. So we have here the on increase, where we set the page index with the method that I just added in. And let's see what will happen.
Appointment scheduler, heading, tutorial, tab 1 of 3. Schedule an appointment. It is very easy to schedule an appointment. No previous link. No next link. No previous link. So that doesn't work yet. And what we basically have to do is we gonna use merge semantics around the body. Merge semantics.
So I want to make sure I'm
Heading.
fully understanding
No
what
previous
we're
link.
working on here.
Mhm.
You want to show navigating the 5 screens that I'm guessing we have here behind schedule and appointment, where there's the yellow pill and then 4 gray dots. Are we
Mhm.
trying to navigate through that right now?
Exactly. Exactly. We're
Okay.
trying to navigate through that right now.
And it was saying
And
no next link, so we were totally blocked.
basically, it was blocking, but maybe.
Appointment list. Tab 3 of 3. Double tap to activate.
Let me just remove the merge semantics again, so we're at that state again. So
Schedule an appointment. No previous link. No next link.
So when I do up and down, it doesn't work yet. And if I swipe to the side with 2 fingers, it still
Select a
works.
date.
So I
First, you
just
can
have to
select a
use
date.
2 fingers
Image.
instead of 1 finger. So it is possible, but it's not that easy for the user. So
And they wouldn't necessarily know to do that because
Maybe.
they can't see the
Yeah.
yellow and the gray dots. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So so let me check again my nice. Okay. What we can do is to use live region. Okay, sometimes one has to restart the app completely.
Appointment scheduler. Tutorial. Tab 1 of 3. Schedule an appointment. It is very easy to schedule an appointment. Image.
So, and now.
No previous link. No next link.
So currently it's not working. So let me just check if I have forgotten anything that is important.
The one, I mean, I suppose the on increase and on decrease must just not be getting called.
Yes, exactly.
'Cause it's hard to imagine that not working. I'm sure the code snippet you pasted in is probably good.
So just let me check it.
More solidarity from the crowd.
Yeah, I got some.
Really get that feeling.
Yeah, wait a second.
Let me see if I can assist as well. So do you think the answer is in the accessibility branch of your
Yeah, I do think it is. We need, wait. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you got it, folks. Oh, you even said merge semantics.
I even said merge semantics and I wanted to show it, but then then I removed it to show the old state. So it doesn't matter.
It is very easy to schedule an appointment. Schedule an appointment.
So I swiped up now. I swiped up now.
Schedule an appointment. Select
Can you zoom in a little bit so
First,
folks can see this code?
Yes, exactly.
First, you can select a date.
So
Nice.
we have here this merge semantics, and we need the merge semantics to be present. Otherwise, this doesn't work. And the thing is, if we add live region on true, we will hear that this text is read multiple times. So select date will be read multiple times.
Select a date. First, you can select a date. Select time. Then select a time. Slider. Select time. Then select a time. Slider.
So why is this happening? We can debug. And for debugging, we basically can use show semantics debugger, set it on true because we use something in the material app. We have to restart again and
appointment scheduler heading. Tutorial. Tab 1 of 3. Schedule an appointment. It is very easy to schedule an appointment.
So for this, I will just turn off the screen reader for a moment, so it's a little bit easier. So if we scroll now, have you seen that? It was very short. You can see for a short while, it's totally blurry, right? So for a short
we did see the
while,
text change.
exactly, you see the text of the first page and the second page, and it's both on the same. It's at the same time visible, so it's read twice. So that's why you have this multiple reading. If you have it so that you add live region on true. So let's go back. So I will remove it for now, and we'll set again.
Talk back on. Observable _ accessibility. Tutorial. Heading. Selected. Selected. Schedule an appointment. It is very easy to schedule an appointment. Schedule an appointment. It is very easy to schedule an appointment. Select a date. First, you can select a date. Slider. Select a date. First, you can select a date. Slider.
Did I reload
That didn't
it
get better.
No, it didn't.
Appointment scheduler. Head. Tutorial. Tutorial. Tap. Schedule an appointment. It is very easy to schedule an appointment.
So now we're on the next screen, but we can't see it. So what we basically need to do, we need to tap it again.
Select a date. First, you can select a date. Slider.
Okay.
And we have to select it again. So basically,
we as in the user has to do that?
Yes, we as a user, we have to select again because we removed this live region true. And if live region true is removed, it will not be read out automatically anymore. So that is the whole thing about this. And in this case, for me, I decided I don't want everything to be duplicated. I want the user to really, be able to select them themselves and let it out to be read.
Okay, so I'm going to try to repeat this back, make sure I'm understanding everything correctly. There's something about, so you have this stack and you're swapping the widget that you show in the stack. Actually, what's under the, page view builder. Okay, great.
Yeah, exactly. So I do have a page view builder, and the reason why I have a stack is are those little page indicators to which we come on later. So because I don't want the page view dots to leave the screen as well. So that's why it's a stack. But the whole thing is we need the semantics for this on increase and on decrease, and the merge semantics is needed for some reason for this thing to work correctly.
Now, but it felt like even when you had merge semantics and live region, because you probably want live region, right?
I mean, in the best case, yes. In the best case, yes, but it's read out so many times that I feel personally that it is a little bit annoying for the user that uses a screen reader, because those people are getting anyways so many information with the screen reader. So what one could do, and that's where the page index can come in, so those dots, because they could also have a semantic information, right? So they could say, hey, you're on like slide 1 of 5 or something. So maybe we can go to the page indicator.
But it feels to me like there's a bug. I mean, do you think it's the page builder widget that is maybe doing something wrong with its semantics, with its contribution to the semantics tree? Like, it doesn't feel like it should be the case that once you slide to page 2, page 1 is still red.
No, it definitely shouldn't. So honestly, maybe it makes sense to open up an issue for that, and maybe some other person knows why this is happening. But yeah, so that is definitely something that is a little bit tricky. So I was playing around, and the best that I could come up with is that we either have the text multiple times read, or we have it only read when the user selects it.
Oh, there's an interesting idea from Frey Dumazi, who continues to have interesting ideas. What if that inner semantics widget went inside the page view controller and was just on each page instead of being around you'd have to like pass the page controller in or like a callback to update the index. But I wonder, as does Frey, if that would potentially, because right now the semantics widget is wrapping the entire page view controller. So it could be getting the current page and the last page or like something funky. But if the semantics widget was on each individual page, it could potentially work better. We'd have to test it.
So one thing, this GitHub repo is completely open source. So you can, it's on my GitHub profile. So you can also check it out and also try stuff out on it. And maybe also, check it out and fix things. So we could have maybe also really like a nice, Flutter repo of accessibility and have it as a community contribution to find better solutions for each accessibility issue. Because at the moment, I feel like there are a lot of ideas and a lot of so smart people that could work on it. And we will find better solutions with time. So, But do you want to try out the thing?
I think up to you. I mean, if we have time, I don't know what all else you have up your sleeve. So I don't want to.
I still have around 2 to 3 things that might be interesting. Okay. So
let's keep going then.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's a super interesting idea. So please maybe try it out, and maybe I can also try it out and try to fix it.
Yeah, little exercise for the reader. Yeah,
exactly. So let's go to the page indicator. So this was not read, right? So we could think, okay, let's just add a semantics around it. Here, semantics, and I don't want to write all this text, so have to make it stateful though. Current page index we will use here this. So
you're doing a great job. Incredible.
It's not easy to code when people are watching.
Indeed not.
So I'm very happy of my cheat sheet that I made. So the whole problem with semantics, if you would wrap semantics without without the label, if we would just add a semantics without making everything stateful, we would have the problem that the screen reader would only read the index is 1. So basically we have to rebuild. Otherwise, the screen reader won't have the right semantic information. It will say we're on page 1, we're on page 1, we're on page 1, and we're on page 5. And the user will be confused. So what we're gonna do...
That's a surprising bit of behavior you're describing.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you're making a new stateless widget and you're sending a new, you include a new semantics widget in that, and it gets the new value of page 2, page 3, page 4, the screen readers get stuck on page 1. Is that what you're saying?
Basically, the semantics information for the dots is gonna get stuck on page 1. So it only reads page 1. So that's why we need this value listenable builder to be able to basically rebuild the widget tree to have the right index read out to the user, because otherwise it would not work, and the user would only hear page 1 of 5, even though if they would scroll. So let's check that out if it works.
Appointment scheduler, heading. Tutorial, page 1 of 5, schedule an appointment.
I was too fast. No.
Appointment scheduler, head, tutorial, page 1 of 5, schedule an appointment. It is very easy to schedule an appointment. Slider, swipe up or swipe down to adjust. Page 2 of 5, select a date. First you can select a date. Slider, swipe up or swipe down to adjust.
And if we would only have the semantics with the page controller information, it would not give us the right information.
Interesting. And that the screen reader narrates to swipe up or swipe down to adjust. And I presume that must come from using the on increase, on decrease parameters to the semantics widget.
Yes, exactly. So it tells the user exactly what to do, and that's nice because with the page view, I think it didn't really say that, if I'm correct, but maybe I could be incorrect because I listened to it so much. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how the page view behaves in that situation, but yeah, this is interesting. I kind of want to earmark this, bookmark this situation as well with the stateless widget not updating. That also feels like something's not behaving correctly, unless I'm not imagining the other code correctly. But man, the thing I'm just super taking away here is, and actually I'm going to click on a question that a comment someone had earlier that I was saving for the end. But it's just so appropriate. Dario was saying, I'm not sure, but would it be a good idea? Shouldn't you have somebody who uses accessibility in their daily lives to really test the accessibility of your apps? I can't imagine there's so many quirks a normal dev is not aware of. And that has been my experience for this entire stream, is that I've been not aware of any of these things and just wouldn't find them. So what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So definitely my biggest thing is to talk with people who are in need for accessible features, because those are the people that will tell you exactly, hey, this makes sense or this doesn't make sense. Or this is information that I need, this is information that I don't need. If we're talking about some kind of semantics information, for instance, or if something is too verbose or if something is difficult to use. So definitely talking with the people who are affected, it's the number one thing. But one thing that is important, as a developer, you should be able to use the screen reader, because it's just basically my whole thing is that accessibility should be part of an everyday developer's job. So if you develop on a feature, you add accessibility right away with it, so you don't have to think of it later on to fix some things. And for that, people should be able to use the screen reader and everything else. So yeah, but definitely always talk to the people affected.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. What's your next item?
So my next item, let me check my list. So we have the onboarding page, we have done that. one more thing. I'm using here a package from an external source. So it's pub dev package from some community member, which is wonderful. But sometimes this one doesn't have any semantics information. But if we would have a package that already has a built-in semantic information, we might want to exclude it if we want to give it another semantic information. So if there's something coming from this package that we don't want to use, we just use exclude semantics. So everything that is in this smooth page indicator and has semantics would not be read if it's something that we don't need. So yeah, just as maybe
nice. And then you can wrap this again with a semantics widget and rewrite the information that you want.
Exactly. So we have here a semantics information, so we use ours. Exactly.
Nice.
Yes. So
I'm not gonna, so that's another one, you know, I've seen the exclude semantics widget and I've always wondered, why would you use that? But now that you've spelled it out, it seems actually pretty obvious in hindsight.
I mean, everything that the user doesn't need to know, or does, like sometimes we have decorations or something like an icon or something. And if it's like not really interesting for the user that really just wants to perform an action, then it might make sense to exclude semantics. But then again, if it's something important, then definitely not, because then we definitely need it.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like you've mentioned earlier, there's just a lot of stuff coming from the screen reader. So kind of cutting the fat, getting rid of the less valuable stuff so that the most critical things are more obvious in the stream of words the screen reader is rattling off also feels very important.
Yes. So there's also it's also very interesting to give some alt text to images because that's where you really can train to write good semantic labels. Because for instance, you have an image of a
Can you
bear.
zoom in real quick?
Sure, but there's no accessibility yet implemented. But okay. And if you would like be very verbose with it, it would be very hard for the user to listen to everything. So you really have to be concise.
Yep. Okay. What's next?
So let's check where the custom scroll view is. So there is a widget called Index Semantics. It is a widget that basically helps the screen reader to know how many items are in a list, for instance, or like for instance, the list view of Flutter has it already implemented by default, so you don't have to wrap those items that are in a list view with an index semantics. But for the custom scroll view, because it's custom, you have to do something. And you don't have to use that widget by itself, but you can add here, let me just check the semantics child count. So here you can see the constructor of the custom scroll view, and we see semantics child count. And because that custom scroll view has the index semantics already in a sense built in, and if you give the semantics child count, it will know how many items are in the scroll view. Yeah.
And then it keeps track of semantic child count. That's interesting. I don't think I'd even noticed that before, but so I guess I'm a little surprised that the delegates child count, actually, I don't think it was the delegate, but the sliver lists child count doesn't get used. I mean, I guess the custom scroll view maybe doesn't know, it's not allowed to interrogate the sliver list.
So there is also something for the child builder delegate. So I think it really depends on the screen reader you're using. So for TalkBack and VoiceOver, it never read out to me, hey, I have 20 items. But there are screen readers where this is apparently the case. But some screen readers, and that's one thing where I'm a little bit sad about it, are you have to purchase them. And sometimes they do not give that for developers. It's like you have to buy it also as a developer, which is in a sense understandable, but in the other way, it's like, hey, I have to pay then for something that I'm actually, I just want to develop accessible apps. So that's
No, that
that's
feels like a bad business model.
sometimes not so nice, but basically, according to the Flutter documentation, it should read out, hey, you have so and so many items for a few screen readers. And what you can use with the Sliver Child Builder delegate basically is, first of all, here you have add semantics indexes, which is already set on true. So basically, Flutter handles it here with the custom scroll already too. But you have also the semantics index offset. Basically, if you have like a pet, like a sized box or something, like or like a divider, and you don't want it to be read, basically you can add an offset to your semantic index.
Okay. So another thing definitely to play around with, test the experience is, if you don't do this, does it have no information at all, or does it count incorrectly, or kind of like how does that work?
Basically, I have honestly not tried that out yet. So probably I should. I can come back to you if I do. But it should, if you don't use the semantics index offset, for instance, it would basically count those items with it. So it would be, if you have like 10 items that are a list item and I don't know, 10 dividers, then it would say you have 20 items instead of 10, because you only have 10 that are interesting. So that is the whole thing about this.
Gotcha. So one person says TalkBack does pronounce how many items are in the list, but only if you scroll using the gesture, not just two fingers.
Ooh.
But if it's a super custom builder, is the question that it just doesn't know, and so you have to answer it up front? Like if it's a lazy builder.
Yeah, probably. That's probably the thing. And also super interesting because I have seen that you have commented before as well that you're a visually impaired person. So we have someone who is visually impaired and is able to tell us what's good and what's not good. So I'm really happy about that right now.
Oh, incredible.
So
appointment list, tab 3 of 3. Appointment list.
So this is a
appointment list.
And so do you know it funny name. I guess if it's artificial stupidity, that means that you're actually very smart. So that's good. This comment about TalkBack does pronounce how many items are in a list. Is this like for these specific widgets, are you saying? Or where, this is the custom scroll view and sliver list and sliver child builder delegate. Or like in general with list views? That's my follow-up. And then you said another thing here. Back in Android 6-ish, it used to do that when you scroll in, but that was too verbose. There's a setting to restore the old behavior, though. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
So one thing I would like, because Craig, I have you here right now, from the Flutter team, would be maybe that we could have like a more in-depth documentation of accessibility in itself. I think that would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. especially talking to some people like Artificial Stupidity, who are people that need the name, who I needed to need those accessibility features. So maybe if Flutter team has some budget for it in 2024, that would be like cool.
Yeah, I will echo what you're saying. I mean, even just to prepare to talk to you and make sure I knew a bare minimum, I reread some of the accessibility documentation, and I knew that it was not going to get nearly as deep as we were going to get. So yeah, I think there's some meat on the bone there, as the expression goes.
Yeah, so let's check the appointment list. So if we go to the appointment list,
the 14th of December 2023, 5:06. Double tap to activate.
We see that basically it reads the whole list. So we have the name of the appointment, we have the date of the appointment, and I'm not sure if you see that red icon there next to it, but it's a bin. So basically with this, we can delete the appointment, and it says double tap to activate. Double tap to activate what? We have no idea. So let's check it out. Let's go to the appointment list item. And what we see is that we have here a column with some text and a gesture detector. And basically what I want to do is that I want the bin to be read separately. And how I can do that is I can just use the semantic widget. I have to zoom in again. I'm so sorry, folks. So semantics widget with explicit child nodes, and I set that on true.
Edit box. Appointment list. Add appointment. Selected. Add appointment to unlabeled. Double tap to activate. The 14th of December 2023, Manuela. The 14th of December 2023, unlabeled.
So you see,
double tap to activate.
Everything was split up now. So, but we still have this button that is unlabeled. And it's because I have used a gesture detector and an icon, and we basically can give this again a... No, I don't want to use any of those. It gives me only block builders. I want a widget. Okay. All right. Then I have to do it like this.
Do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, but this makes it all so hard with... Okay.
Oh, we're watching.
With the braces. That's the thing. So delete appointment.
Delete appointment.
Now we have
double
a delete
tap to activate.
Delete appointment button. So we gave it semantic information. So the user knows, okay, when I delete, then when I press this button, then I delete this appointment. So
Manuela.
But maybe we want the information like the name row and the time slot row to be read together. So what can we use again?
Merge semantics.
Exactly.
Manuela, the 14th of December 2023, 6:22.
Yes, all right, perfect. And then
delete appointment.
Let's try to delete an appointment now.
Delete appointment. Double tap to activate.
Uh-oh.
So
We delete the next one.
Imagine you have no or visual impairment and you cannot see the screen. Do we know if we deleted the appointment right now or not?
No, and that's why I said, uh-oh, should we delete the next one? Because the text that we got made it seem like, okay, I guess we'll double click again, and then we would delete the next one.
Exactly. And what we can basically do is we can add a snack bar to the on tap method. So I want to speed everything a little bit up. So I will just take this. Because I see we are already at the 1 hour and 30 mark. So here I'm basically giving a adding a snack bar and showing a snack bar when the appointment gets deleted. So let's reload again. And let's delete.
The tutorial, tab 1 of 3.
Oop.
Double tap to activate.
That was a bad, we didn't see that yet. We didn't see that. We have to reload.
Didn't happen.
Edit. Showing.
So
Thursday to dismiss. Okay.
Okay.
Time 19:20. Okay. Showing multistat.
I have to add now appointments so we can
alert. Okay.
Delete them.
Edit. Date. Thursday, December. Select 15. Okay. Appointments. Time detected. Oh. Show. Not ticked. Alert. Appointment scheduler.
So now we have 2.
Appointment list. NM. The 14th of December 2023, 7:27. Delete appointment. Deleted appointment.
We deleted the appointment, which is great. Yeah, and this makes it easier for the user because otherwise, they don't know that we have deleted an appointment. And you could also say that the snack bar should only appear if you are using the accessible navigation, if you would want that.
Right. Yep. Though, I mean, snack bars are not too invasive, so they're always, I think, a safe choice. But yeah. True.
Yeah. So the nice thing is you can really customize the appearance, like the experience of the users, and that's a great thing. So let me check my list if we have still something.
Yeah, if not, there's plenty of comments and questions we can get to.
So one thing that I wanted to show are also some tests, actually.
Oh, nice.
Because I do believe that it is important to test for accessibility, mainly because we are using or we're building features on top of old code every day. And at some point, we're going to touch that code we wrote yesterday again. And if we do not have tests, we don't really know always if we broke something. And they basically are just a little helper for us to remind us, hey, you broke something. And let's just check if they all run and if we have to modify a few of them.
Oh, nice. So contain semantics is a matcher. And then check accessibility traversal. Is that something from the framework?
No, that's basically yes, but I made it. I made a helper method out of it. So basically, you have this simulated accessibility traversal. What does it test? it tests the order in which the semantics are read. And one important thing is you have to like be very, very specific, and it's not a fuzzy match. So it has to be the order it is. Otherwise, your tests will fail.
Okay.
So we have here should meet accessibility guidelines. What is not working? Text contrast should follow WCAG guidelines. So for the I accept the terms and conditions for our font size currently, the color is not sufficient enough. So for the checkbox we had before, it's not enough. So we could basically fix that to be able to really, to be following the guidelines. And those are guidelines that come from Flutter. They are checking the WCAG guidelines. WCAG is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Basically, they were made by the World Wide Web Consortium to have a framework on how to make digital products accessible, and they have made some guidelines like how a contrast of a text should be, or how big a tab target should be, and things like that. And basically here in this test, we're checking if we are meeting the accessibility guidelines, and basically we do not meet the text contrast guideline. So with that, we could already say, okay, let's fix it.
Nice. And you can, so meets guideline and the sets of guidelines, that's the matcher essentially. And then you are able to pass in any subset of your widget tree, like basically any widget, and it will just analyze the whole thing. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can basically test your app screens if they are really following the guidelines.
Wow. Did it capture that the appointment, so in your nav bar on the bottom, the active tab is yellow on white? Was that captured in the output that we just saw? Because that feels to me like it's not a very high contrast.
I'm not sure if that was captured, to be honest.
Also not sure if you're passing in, are you passing in the whole app or like a smaller, more targeted widget?
So basically I am passing in the whole app. If you see, I basically have testing the whole app with
Got
this.
it. Okay.
Yes. So basically, if you watch Alicja Ogonowska's talk, she was talking about testing the whole widget tree, which is also a really interesting topic, by the way, which we are doing in the company that I'm working now to test our whole app, because everything is a widget. So our app is the widget, and we're testing everything in it. Yeah.
Oh, super fascinating. Okay. I'm trying to keep up and keep everything sorted in my brain here. So we just had, and that came from like the Flutter _test package, or was that from something else? We were just
that came from the Flutter testing API. So
Wow.
I just have to check if it's if we have some specific.
No, doesn't look like it.
No, doesn't look like it. So it's really from the normal Flutter test API. So nothing that you have to import specifically, but yeah, there are some other semantic tests that you can write. So matches semantics, for instance. With that, you can really check if the semantics is the one that you expect. So you can also check if a button is focused after you have
certain action taken.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So basically, that was it from me, from my side. You can find the whole code on GitHub, as I said, and you can check the stuff out, because I'm sure I forgot a few things to say, but you can check it, and I commented the things, so you can always check them out.
Incredible. Round of applause. All right, let's spend some time hitting some of these comments and questions, and then we can call it. So Parker said, this is going all the way back to the very beginning, likes to think of accessible as just universal design. It is for everyone. Yep, agreed there. This was an interesting question. This goes again back quite a ways. Right when we were first talking about merge semantics, is it useful to use merge semantics on form groups? I know the example that we were working on at that time only had one section, but what if there were multiple sections? Do you know anything about how merge semantics works if you apply it to sections of a form?
I have never tried that out, but when I think of it, I'm not sure if it's that nice. So if I understand correctly, we have, like, for instance, two text field widgets and we merge them together, or?
That's what I think they're asking, yeah.
Because in that case, I don't think it's that good if the user is basically selecting a text field. You want the text field to be the thing that is read out. Otherwise, if you have more than one information, it might get confusing, because the user, as I assume, has to edit some text in that text field, right? So
yeah, I think the disconnect is that merge semantics, if I'm understanding it right, is designed to say, hey, these two things are one, or they're separate widgets, and they maybe even have their own semantics nodes. But conceptually, how the user should think about them, they're just one thing. And we saw that with the checkbox and the label. But two text fields are, in fact, two different things. And so merge semantics around them is probably inappropriate. But still a very good question. Just a shout out for localization.
yes.
Definitely.
Yes.
We had, let's see, the question about voice commands, and then another one from the same person, Ilias. How does all of this handle long press gestures? Like, if I have a gesture detector with a long press handler, how does a screen reader handle that?
I have read personally that it is a little bit difficult. So there's this nice website called appt.org, and there's a whole Flutter section, and they are talking about input. And I have read there that it is a little bit tricky with, like, the gesture detector in itself is a little bit tricky with accessibility, because it's like a very customizable widget. So
yeah, so just we'll all have to experiment with our long press handlers, is I think the takeaway there. But a really good question. Let's see, next one. Oh, this was a good one. I don't know if Arthur's still here. How does the semantics access this text? So this is when we were wrapping a text widget with a semantics widget when this question came in. Does the text have to be a direct child, or does the semantics widget visit all of the stuff below it? And I believe it definitely visits all of the stuff below it. So it does not have to be a direct child. That is my understanding. I didn't just speak incorrectly to your knowledge, right, Manuela?
no, not interesting. No, this
Okay.
is what I know.
Oh, this is another interesting one. When it comes to accessibility in smaller companies, is it reasonable to expect UI designers or those responsible for UX/content to provide the texts for these semantics?
So one thing, if you are working in a team that prioritizes accessibility, it has to be a team effort. So basically, from everyone who has something to do with the digital product you're working on is responsible for accessibility. That means maybe also the designer, maybe also, for instance, I work in e-commerce. If we have an image with a voucher code, hey, you get 10% off, and we don't have it as a text, that's an issue. So it's basically working hand in hand. So personally, I think maybe not the UI designer. The person who makes the text, who's the texter in your company, could also think with your UI and UX designer of how to make a short text that is understandable, that is concise, and that makes sense, and where to edit. So
yeah, I would think that, especially when you bring back in localization to this whole conversation, UX and content are going to, I would imagine, be the logical source for semantics information. But then once that gets localized, it might become a lot longer, right? Manuela, your native language, German, has a lot of very long words.
Yeah.
And so the UI designer is going to have to be involved in
Yes.
terms of thinking about overflow and whatnot.
Yes, definitely. So overflow is definitely something that has to be thought of like pretty deeply, because I can't, as a developer, honestly, I'm so sorry. You have seen my app. I haven't really designed anything. So I'm not a UI UX designer. I have I cannot do it very well. And as a developer, if you get like a text overflow or something, you have to basically know what to do. And that's where a UI designer can come in handy.
Yeah. Okay. I think that basically gets us to the end here. One person was asking about the show semantics debugger flag, which you then promptly used. I think maybe without even knowing that they were asking about it, but it was up next in your tour. And then your friend, Natural Intelligence, I'll call them. So they'd love to help as a screen reader using programmer themselves.
That's great.
That'd be wonderful. That'd be absolutely wonderful. Manuela, thank you so much for joining. Gosh, it took a while for our schedules to align, but you just gave such a wonderful talk about accessibility, and you were using a screen reader in this talk in FlutterCon in your home city of Berlin. And I think it was a packed room, and just about all of us were pretty shocked at what we were seeing in terms of what a kind of off the shelf, haven't looked at this at all, Flutter app is natively like in, through accessibility tools. And that's not unique to Flutter. That's pretty much any app is probably going to be, an app written in any toolkit is going to have these struggles. So that was a really profound talk for me to sit in and listen to. And all these months later, I'm just so happy to have you on to talk about this. But yeah, any closing thoughts on your end?
First of all, thank you so much for giving me this platform to talk about accessibility. And I must say, honestly, accessibility is still such a big topic. And I'm not saying I know everything. As you see, I don't know in no way I know everything about accessibility. But I think the Flutter community is such a wonderful community, and we have such smart people here. And I'm sure that we can come up together with more smart solutions for some problems that we can make the life easier for people. So it's a shared effort. Yeah, exactly. Please work on accessibility. So my grandfather is actually blind. That's why I was really interested in accessibility, and it's a question of inclusion. And if we look at our society, and for instance, social media apps, everything is an app and everything is somehow digital, and we're excluding so many people if we do not work on accessibility. So yeah. Thank you so much for listening in. And if you have some better ideas than what I've shown, please feel free to ping me on Twitter, on GitHub, on LinkedIn, whatever, where you can find me, and tell me, because I would love to talk more about it and talk with you about different solutions. And I think that's going to be a great thing. Because I once had someone coming up to me and they were like, how is it with game development, like accessibility for game development, if every digital product has to be accessible? And that's such an interesting like take on that. Like how should we do it? And
yeah, game development and accessibility, I've thought about that, and I just kind of shudder at the very obvious difficulty. Yeah, but like the idea of just locking off all games would be, is as a gamer myself, that's hard to accept as a reality. Folks, here's Manuela on Twitter. So we've just all been invited to talk with her about accessibility. So let's do that. Manuela, thank you so much for joining. This was incredible. As we had just a chorus of votes from the crowd that you gave an excellent presentation and handled, things not going well with expertise. And I enjoyed, basically getting to take a week off and just sitting here and watching you do all the hard work. So I really appreciate that. Folks, thanks again for joining this Observable Flutter, whether you watched live or are using the time machine of videos on demand. I think I'll be live again next week and then probably off for a while for the holiday stretch and back in January. So hopefully one more Observable Flutter in 2023, and then we'll pick up again in 2024. Manuela, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.